Hi, welcome to WHL Live. I'm Cami Kepke, joined by incoming WHL Commissioner Dan Neer. So first off, congratulations on the new job. What initially drew you to the league?
Well, first, thank you. It's incredible to be here in Calgary. My family's been talking about this and excited about this for some time. And so I've been watching you, I've been watching all your content. I'm ready for this. I think I can handle it. But what drew me to the league, I think, is the incredible opportunity to associate myself with the best development league in the world. Everything that's going on with the game right now, it's unquestionably where the best prospects are coming to play. And what an honor it is to be here, to have a chance to influence the future of the league, to collaborate with the stakeholders here today, the business partners, the hockey ops teams, the content creators, and hopefully have an influence on where this game goes. I think that's a big part of what I hope to accomplish here, is to make an impact, to leave it better than where I started.
And you're originally from Markham, Ontario, definitely a place known for producing hockey players. How did you get into hockey growing up and as a player and eventually on the business side?
So I grew up playing like really most Canadians do, but I did a lot of things. It was in the height of the Blue Jays World Series runs, and I wanted to play baseball. I actually ended up going to Western in London to play college football, which lasted about a year before I moved on to other things. But hockey was always part of my life. I played at St. Andrews College in Aurora, Ontario. We were runners-up at the OFSA provincial tournament 2 out of the 3 years I played on the varsity team. And so hockey's always been in my blood. But it was clear early on that I was never going to play major, junior, or NHL. So I thought the idea of maybe carrying a league business card might be the next best thing, having a league email address. And I do remember the first day when I worked at the National Hockey League in New York of sending an email from that email address and saying, wow, this is pretty cool. And so we've been talking this week about getting my WHL email set up and doing the same thing here, because hockey has been really part of my life as long as I can remember. I have an uncle who won a Memorial Cup with the Cornwall Royals in maybe '79, played with Dale Hawerchuk and Dan Daou, and so there's a lot of hockey in my family. And so I'm excited to be able to leave my mark on the game in a different way.
You mentioned the NHL. You spent a decade there in revenue and branding. How does that experience translate to the WHL?
So each step of my career has really been a dream come true. I never really thought I'd be going into Manhattan, working at the NHL headquarters with all of these executives who you know about and hear about and are influencing the game. But I think that one of the things about the sport of hockey, particularly in the US, is it's an underdog sport. It's a sport that you got to get into the arena to see it, to understand it, to feel the passion and energy around it. And I started to capture that. I started to see it, and I started to listen and understand how fans are consuming the game and the way that people think about our sport. And so I hope what I can bring is a way of thinking that is a little innovative, a little creative, maybe even unorthodox in some cases, but this idea that we should be trying things. We should be making sure that while we cater to the history and heritage and honor that exists in this sport, that we're also thinking of what are the new ways to attract fans, to bring a new audience in. What is Gen Z thinking about the way that we do things? And I think that'll be an important part of what we do. I really admire the education program here. I haven't had experience in major junior before. It's been professional, and this idea of the notion that every player in our league is guaranteed a scholarship, the idea that 350 players, ex-players this year, are now pursuing post-secondary education funded by the owners, funded by the clubs, I think is a really cool dimension of what we do. So you start to fuse the on-ice, the off-ice, and then starting to think about what our consumer and what our fan is looking for. I think that it's a really potent combination and is going to be a really fun, hopefully a long tenure here.
You mentioned innovation, creativity. So in your time with Adidas, one of the highlights seems to be bringing in the reverse retro jerseys, which brought in a really cool streetwear kind of feel to the NHL. Do you foresee trying to bring ideas like that to the Dub?
So I would love to bring ideas like that to the Western League. Reverse retro was something that was really a combination of dozens of ideas that we brought together. We invited the Commissioner Bettman, Bill Daly, and a group of his senior executives to Adidas Creative Farm, it was called, in Brooklyn, New York. And it was a really cool place. Ludacris was there that day doing some other creative exercise. Our basketball designers were in another area. And so we brought the league executives in there and we created a design studio. And we showed them a whole bunch of different concepts, everything from Pride Night concepts to the helmet decals that were worn during the outdoor games, to, we had an idea about the Tragically Hip and a Gord Downey tribute moment. And, and reverse retro was one of those concepts that we presented. And what was so special about that is, again, honoring and respecting the heritage of the game. So there was true authenticity in what we were doing. But we were doing things that the average season ticket holder or someone who revered the brand might be a little uneasy, a little uncomfortable with. And I think that we need to be contemplating that when we think about how do we bring a new audience in, how do we ensure we're doing things that are relevant to communities beyond the people who are in our rink every night, not to alienate them, but to expand the pie. And so I certainly hope, whether it's in the area of uniforms and branding or whether it's in other areas of the game, that we can collaborate, that we can try new things, that we can bring in partners. And we'll never know what the line is as far as how much creativity we can bring to the game unless we don't cross it. We have to cross it a few times. And guess what? We're not going to get every single thing right. But if we can be right 90% of the time and start to understand where tolerance levels are, what are the types of things that work, what will bring more people into our buildings, what creates a better player experience, I think that's a win.
What are some of your top priorities coming in?
My top priorities. Well, I think that establishing some continuity around the things that we're doing well. Remember where I started this conversation. We're the best development league in the world. And so I think that we need to protect our flank in that regard. We need to continue to be the best on-ice product. We need to be the best choice for families. And so that connects to off-ice, that connects to the scholarships, that connects to the billet families, it connects to the player experience. I think we've got a lot of great things going there that we have to continue. I think that we also have to figure out how we can be a viable place for a U.S.-born player. I would like to see more U.S.-born players in the western part of the country choosing the Western Hockey League because it's an incredible opportunity. It's an incredible gateway for them to become a prospect for the National Hockey League. And if it doesn't work out, to continue their education in a way that is low risk. And so I think that those are some of the things ahead that I have my eyes on.
And you're following in the footsteps of the longest serving commissioner in league history. What do you think Ron Robison's legacy will be?
Well, I think that I could go on for quite a long time about that, but I think that the two things that really stand out to me are the work he's done with the education program. And there's no question that we're setting players up for success when they're finished here in the Western League. And that's no small feat. And it comes with the collaboration and commitment and buy-in of the owners. There's $2.5 million being spent this year to fund 350 alumni's post-secondary education. And Ron's been at the center of that and at the heart of it. And so that's one. And then the other piece of it that I'm still learning a lot about is Ron has done a lot of work with the Respect Group, with Sheldon Kennedy, ex-WHL player, around making an impact around hockey culture, around setting standards, around zero tolerance for any of the things that could be deemed to offer bias, lack of inclusivity, and that type of thing. And I admire the work Ron has done. My commitment is to continue that work, to keep us at the forefront as it relates to what our role is in setting hockey culture for the future and expecting everyone associated with our league to abide by that and to believe in it.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to join us, Dan, and good luck with the move north.
Thanks so much. It's been great.